Welcome to another episode of Bliss Your Business, the podcast of Bliss. Today we will learn from Thomas Louis' experience about what makes a difference in company success. Thomas, a founder partner at Bliss, has instructed more than 500,000 people in a different corporation worldwide. His knowledge and experience are deep and wide in the area of mind and human potential. Thomas, I'm truly grateful to have you here in this episode, and your insights are highly
Thank you.
anticipated. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thomas, tell us about the workshops that you are conducting for companies.
Okay. So, other than the normal leadership and coaching sessions that I do, there's a lot of niche programs of mine which are all got to do with the mind. And when I say mind, I have, many different kinds of modules. Some of which are like I do the NLP sessions, which is the neuro linguistic programming, and I do mind manifestation sessions. I do the mindfulness sessions, which is basically the awareness of an individual. And we have the what you call the health aspect of a person, which is the well-being of a person and the bliss of a person or the happiness of a person. Like this, we have various workshops. In fact, why I do these workshops is because mind is the source of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And through these workshops, I actually directly tell the participants about how they can actually use certain techniques to change the way they look at things or look at the aspects of how they deal with in a corporate world or in their personal life for that matter in a different way. And that gives them a totally different way of handling things. So these workshops are of great benefit to the company. That's what I do.
What do you see? Uh, what kind of changes do you see in companies after these workshops?
So to start off with, when I start my workshops, initially the people who attend it, about 50% of them are skeptical about such workshops because they have not attended any such workshops earlier. So they take it with a bit of like, is it really going to work? Will this really be applicable in practical life? And those kind of things. But when I start to actually tell them the techniques by which they can unfold their potential and they start to practice it, they see a huge difference. To start off with, it's about the peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Normally anybody who's going about doing their regular bit of work, they are really uh, literally running. So when I say running, I'm talking about it's hectic. It's really hectic for them. And they are highly stressed. And in a stressed atmosphere, it's very difficult for them to actually even think with clarity. So, one thing that all the participants see is the peace that they gain, or uh, the calmness that they gain, and through the calmness, how they can interact better with people, how they can take decisions with better clarity, and how they can communicate better, how they can get past their negatives or get past their differences with others, and how they can work together. These are some of the basic things that they start seeing initially. And this itself is a great thing for the companies and the individuals because this itself gives them uh, really a great amount of productivity increase because that working togetherness or interacting with people, everything increases. And that's where the start happens. And later on, it goes to higher benefits. But this is where you can see the initial changes.
Right. What higher benefits do you see later on? I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, the higher benefits, when I say it's about completely elevating your consciousness to the next level. So when I say completely elevating your consciousness to the next level, I'm talking of the way you deal with every element that you come across, every aspect of your life. And your mind is your consciousness. Your consciousness is everything.
Hmm.
So, whatever you are today is nothing but your consciousness. So, if your consciousness were to be switched off for a certain amount of time, then it's like you're not working. It's like you're not there. You don't exist. So, you know your existence only when the consciousness is turned on. And if this much of a connection is there, that consciousness and your existence is so closely tied up, then you can understand how important it is if you can actually elevate your consciousness. Because when you elevate your consciousness, you are living in that moment. You are existing with your full knowledge. And existing with your full knowledge, being in that moment, being present completely, being completely aware is a totally different, uh, I would say that totally different scenario where you can bring the best out of you. And I would use the words not bring the best out of you, the best comes automatically because you're operating from that elevated consciousness. And when you operate from that elevated consciousness, you don't need any effort to bring your potential out.
Hmm.
The potential automatically is because you are at the highest level. And that's what I mean by gaining higher benefits, including if you're talking of a C level executive, if you're talking about a great vision, the level to which he can see. Like normally, if a person is able to see for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, this person is able to actually see with a clarity till about 5 to 10 years. He can see how the markets will change or how the obstacles can be encountered. This is a great difference in the way in which he could have been and he is after he takes these workshops. This is one thing. The second is about the innovation element which comes inside. Now, when you're talking about innovation and creativity, we all know that it is nothing which is inside you, but it is something which has got to get connected with the server. When I say the server, I'm talking about the superconscious. All the innovation that has happened in this world, all the creativity that has come in, is basically when the mind is actually connected to that superior energy and there is a flow of that influx of energy, that consciousness which comes in, which gives them that spark of creativity. And this is very very important at the C level because unless you continuously innovate, you become obsolete. So there are a lot of these kind of higher level benefits which take the person to the you know core of his being. And by going to the core of your being, you are at your maximum potential. And this is what you will gain at the workshop center differently.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I used to think that the creativity is inside of me and that I'm just a creative, but then I discovered that when I'm doing certain meditations, I'm suddenly connecting to the server, as you describe, and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
these ideas in a perfect way that I could not even think or create it or imagine myself, and realize
yeah,
that the information is coming from higher consciousness, and I
yeah.
can
In fact,
yeah, so I can definitely relate
yeah,
how it's a game changer for CEO or for any manager to be able to connect in the everyday work life.
absolutely. In fact, what I was wanting to add to it maybe is if you ask a musician the best piece that he has written, or if you ask a poet, or if you ask a person, a scientist, how did this thought come? Then he would say that it just came. I
Mm.
mean, he doesn't have an explanation for it. It just came. So, okay, now tell me what effort you have to put into it so that you can actually do it. No, he doesn't have a clear process for that. He just sits there and it just came. So this particular thing that these people are not able to explain from where it's coming or how, what is the process for, getting that. That is the element that we are actually practicing here. So you are always remaining connected. And when you're connected, there is a clear channel. It's like, the internet is a highway wherein the complete data is being transmitted. Like that, you are connected to the highway of the consciousness. And when you're connected to the highway of consciousness, there's so much of flow coming in that that consciousness takes various forms. So it can take the form of innovation. It can take the form of a visionary leadership skill. It can take the form of a great orator. So it can take any form. And so whichever field you are in, it will support you in that particular aspect. So this is going to be of great use to you when you remain connected. And that's what these workshops do. At a higher level, you are always connected, even when you're not practicing these techniques. So these techniques actually, it is to be practiced on a daily basis, but let's assume that you're running short of time and you practice it for, let's say, a few months and then you quit for a month. You don't lose it. What you have connected, it remains with you. That is the best part. So it's not that the day I stop it, I lose my connection. So this is a really good aspect of these workshops.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's a fascinating journey to do.
Yes.
I want to ask you another thing. Throughout your career, you've taught and conducted workshops at companies worldwide, reaching an impressive 500,000 people. Some organizations have invited you back repeatedly. When you reconnect with past participants, what changes or transformation have you observed in them?
Yeah. In fact, most of the companies who go in for my first workshop, they keep repeating it. So I see these people coming with, they're so eager to attend the workshops. The first time they come, as I told you, they come with a lot of skepticism and they are not sure whether this will work for them, as I said. But the second and third workshops, you would see that there's a person sitting in the last seat of the class and he comes and sits in the first seat of the class. You will see that a person leaves everything. If a person was late, let's say he was a bit late for the first session, he will ensure that he is here 15 minutes before, 30 minutes before. Now, and these people, even if you give them a break, they don't go out for the break. They continuously keep talking to me and trying to get more out of this. Now, what is happening to them? Why is it that they are actually trying to cling on to the subject or trying to be there on time or trying to gain more? They would have seen something which is really benefiting them. Otherwise, why would they do this?
Mhm.
Now, superficially, if I look at it, superficially, I see more glowing faces. I would see bright, happy faces, everybody smiling. I would see a lot of joy in the class. I would see a lot of uh, laughter, happiness, interaction, openness, less of negativity, very, very positive. So many traits you can see in them in the second to third workshop itself. They just open up and the energies keep flowing, and uh, you can see that these people are knowing that there is some hidden treasure, and they know that they really want the treasure and they don't want to lose it. So this kind of a feeling, you can easily sense it. You can feel the vibes in the class. It's really different when you come to the second and third workshops. It's totally amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to hear. What's let's speak about your experience. And I know that you shared with me once that you, in the age of 4, started the practice of yoga, but and you did a lot of since then. Can you
Yeah.
share with us the knowledge that the courses that you've been practicing and learning?
Yeah. So, in fact, yes, when I met you in India, when you had come to India, I had met you and I had told you, like, my life was a continuous learning. Somehow, with you know, it's been really a grace that I have received, because I had no objections even from my parents, or the circumstances always allowed me to learn, and I went on learning. So as I told you, yes, I did start practicing yogic techniques from my childhood. And I don't know how I actually got into that, because I never went for a yoga class at that time, and I didn't know from where I had this knowledge, because I never came across a yoga book at that age, and nor did I have a television set or somewhere, or this yoga was not taught in my school. In fact, I was in a completely uh, Anglo-Indian Christian school, wherein these kind of things were not practiced. Of course, those days I think yoga was not so popular also.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know from where I started all this, but then I got into it and I started practicing it. And at a very young age, I also got into hypnosis. I'm a hypnotherapist, and uh, I started practicing hypnosis when I was in class. You can say class 9. That would be at the age of 14 years. Uh, And the best part is that I started taking certifications. So I am a certified hypnotherapist, I am a certified yoga trainer. And each thing that I learned, I thought that, I should be certified in that. Otherwise, I'm not qualified to actually try it on somebody. So when I did hypnosis, there was a course wherein they were talking about taking a person to some past life. So I was very curious about it. So I thought, okay, how can a person go to his previous life? And then I attended that course and I completed that course wherein, you can regress yourself into the past life through hypnosis. So I started doing that. And every course that I studied, I mastered it and I started practicing, and I really got good success with it. Then I moved on and I started understanding that meditation is very important. So I got initiated into a technique called as transcendental meditation. And when I was practicing my meditation, it guided me that, I have to learn Reiki.
Mm.
So in fact, I was at that time, I was in Bangalore, and I was searching for a Reiki master. And those days, I would say that it was very difficult to find a Reiki master. Nowadays, you find a lot of Reiki masters, but those days it was very difficult. And I looked up and I traveled 12 hours, and I found a master and I traveled 12 hours to take an initiation. And I took my level 1 and level 2 initiations. And then after that, I practiced that for about 2 to 3 years. And then later on, I took my master's degree in Reiki, and I'm now a grandmaster in Reiki. So Reiki, I mean, for those of you who are not aware of it, Reiki is a form of healing wherein you can transmit energies through a distance. That means I can even do a distance healing. So if somebody is there in, say, in US and I'm here in India, I can still transmit my energies, and the person would receive those energies and healing would take place. I also learned a very similar kind of science, which is, like Reiki. It's something called as pranic healing.
Mhm.
And in pranic healing, uh, we talk about auras. Aura is the layer of ethereal energy which is around you. And it was very, very uh, surprising that, this energy, it is so much of a it impacts us in such deep ways. Like, for example, if the aura near the liver, the organ liver, if it gets broken or if it's depleted, only then the liver organ can be impacted. So if the aura is safe, that means your organ is also safe.
Right.
So the vice versa is also true. Vice versa is true in the sense, if you have a problem with one of your physical organs, you can actually repair the aura, and the organ gets repaired. So, when okay, I'm basically an engineer. So because of this engineering that I have studied, I'm a little bit highly skeptical about things I look at everything very logically, very analytically. I don't take anything at face value. So this particular character trait in me started questioning every science that I was trying to learn. I try to understand, why is it working? I mean, how is it working? What are the nuances behind it? And how is it scientifically connected? So everything that I learned, I was trying to connect it with the science. Why or how or what is the background of it? In that way, I started getting much more deeper into it. Then I went into crystal therapy. I went into graphology. Graphology is basically a handwriting analysis. So if you look at a person's handwriting, you can actually tell the character of the person. And this was one of the sciences which actually was like intriguing me. And I was thinking, how is it possible? And I again went into the science behind it. So I went very deep into these kind of sciences, and each science took me to the next. So I studied Tantra. So when I say Tantra, many people think that, okay, Tantra has got to do with some evil or some kind of a black energy or something like that. It's not. Tantra means energy, and you are basically trying to work with energy inside you and energy outside you. So you can actually use these energies for healing. And this is what I'm actually doing. I do a lot of healing. I do a lot of counseling. I do a lot of coaching. So these energies are really helping a person to actually come out of the uh, issues and whatever problems that they're facing. And then I went very deep into meditation. So after transcendental meditation, I did Siddhi meditation. Then I did Vipassana meditation. I tried out various meditations because I wanted to study what are the different types of meditation, different benefits that I get from that. And I thought I will zoom in on any one of this. But ultimately, what happened in my life was I met my spiritual master, and I got initiated into a spiritual technique called as Kriya Yoga. So uh, I'm sure that people would have heard of Paramahamsa Yogananda. He has written a book called as Autobiography of a Yogi.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I read that book, and I was extremely curious after reading that book how these things are really possible. So because it's really so many things are written in that book. And I thought I should actually get a master who actually can teach me this technique. And that's when I found my master, and I took initiation under him. And I am practicing the technique. It's called as Kriya Yoga. So over and above this, I've studied many other sciences like astrology, numerology, palmistry, and dowsing. Dowsing is using a pendulum. You can tell the level of water below the earth. Many kind of, the sensing science. That is the mind senses energies or the five elements. So all these kind of things. Now, when I studied this, I always thought, okay, how can I put this to use uh, for the common man? Or how can I put this to use when I'm doing a training program in a company? Or how can I put this to use when I'm doing a coaching? So this is where I try to actually integrate what I learned with what I'm doing. And I combined my passion towards these kind of sciences and my profession, and I combined this and I started using this in my profession, and it's actually going very well. It's helping people in coming out of their mind blocks, getting more positive, healing their energies, healing their uh, auras, better well-being of their mind, all these kind of aspects. So this is what I do.
It's amazing. I think I could, when I participate in your workshop, I could see how this vast knowledge make it so interesting for the people that were
Yeah.
in there. And
The grace showered upon me. Yes. I'm thankful for it, and that's
yeah,
it.
and as well, I've noticed that in your workshop, you're feeling the audience, and you adjust your teaching according to the people
Yes,
that is
yes,
there. Um,
yes. Actually, when many a times it has happened that sometimes the company HR definitely they would have to answer the management. So they ask me, Thomas, what are you covering? So I say that I don't know. So then they ask, what do you mean you don't know? So I say that no, what happens is when I get into the class, I get the vibes and the the class goes on. Then the HR asks me, but how do you think such a class will go if you have not planned out anything? So then I say that no, it will go really well. You can trust me. And uh, many a time they do ask me to send a table of contents that I will cover. They do ask me to give an outline of what I cover. So because of corporate norms, I have to send it to them. So I do make a list, bullet points of what I'm going to cover, etc., etc. I make certain bullet points and I send it to them, and then I tell the HR very clearly that these are the bullet points. But how the class takes me, that's how I will go, and you will be rest assured that you will get your end objective fulfilled. So then they leave it to me, and then the class takes me, and yes, as you said, the I feel the vibrations of the class very well, and I know exactly what each person. Sometimes, when a person is asking me a question, I I give an answer. I mean, the answer just comes. If I say I give an answer, it would be wrong. The answer just comes to me in such a way that his deepest question is answered, and he tells me, Thomas, this particular thing has answered and connected many of the dots which I had, and I mean, I never knew that these things are like this, and it connected the dots. So then I ask, did it answer the question? Then he says that it answered more than the question. It's much more deeper. So many a time I myself am shocked by the responses and the questions and the interaction that happens in the class. So yes, the vibrations of the class, the energy of the class, it propels me to go forward in a particular direction.
Right. What is your suggestion for C-level managers? What do you think, from your perspective, that is the key elements that make a company successful?
So if you look at any organization for that matter, so you will see that there are certain competencies that are required and certain traits that are supposed to be there in a person. So if you look at the competencies would be something like, say, visionary skills or strategic management, or you can say innovation, you can say decision making, you can say problem solving skills. So critical thinking, you have people management, you have interpersonal skills. So you have many competencies. Now, look at any of these competencies, and you will find that what exactly is happening in these competencies. Let's look at a problem solving skill. So when you look at a problem solving skill, you get entangled in the problem. You're not able to give the optimum solution to the problem. Whereas if you can actually put your frame of reference outside the problem, that means if you can actually come out of the problem, then you are able to give a better solution. We are all good at giving advices to others. But when it comes to our own problems, we are not having a solution. We are caught. Why is this? Because we are entangled in the problem. Now, how do we come out of this problem? Your mind. Your mind. So, unless your mind is actually, skilled or trained to actually, be where it has to be at the right time, you cannot do things at the optimum level. Look at decision making for that matter. What is decision making? Decision making is a process of reducing the risk to the maximum. Decision making is about calculating all the alternatives and all the criteria and checking out which criteria and which alternative is the best for a particular situation, for your goal. Now, now every alternative and criteria that you're going to point out, you are going to be biased towards it. You have your biases. And where are these biases coming from? Your biases and prejudice. Everything is built inside your subconscious from your childhood. How you grew up, what the circumstances you were in, what is your perspective is not the perspective of others. So if you have to be unbiased, And if you have to have that potential, take an unbiased decision, you need to be completely out of it, out of your own jungle of perspectives, and you have to think much more in a better angle, in a bird's eye view. And that clarity you will get only if your mind is more free. So look at any competency for that matter. Think about innovation. I already spoke about innovation.
Mhm.
Think about strategic planning. Where are the strategies coming from? Strategies are coming from actually looking at things in a different way, understanding the blocks that could come. So you look at any competency for that matter, you will see the involvement of mind. Now let's look at the traits. So if you look at the traits, you're looking at positive attitude, you're looking at shedding all the negatives, being open and transparent, being together with people, and all these traits, again, what does it require? If you want to open up yourself, so let's say that somebody is rigid and it's completely closed, and you tell him, okay, you need to open up. If you want to grow in the ladder of corporate ladder, you need to open up. So he says, okay, now come on, from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to open up. Is it going to happen? No, it cannot. He can only do it if his mind is able to allow him to open up. Now, suppose somebody is having a lot of negative thinking, and you tell him, you are quite negative. Now you have to start thinking positively. How do you think positively? Thinking is happening in the mind. Mind is involved there. So you see how closely your mind is connected with every competency, how closely your mind is connected with every trait that a person requires at the sea level. And I'm telling you that it's today the corporate, 50% of them know it, but 50% of them don't give any weightage to it. 50% of them still go with the conservative training sessions, not involving the mind. And 50% of them who know about it look for a trainer who's actually holistic in nature, who knows about how to bring the maximum potential of the mind and integrate it with these competencies, who can integrate it with these traits. That is why this kind of workshops are extremely important for C level managers, C level executives. And the organization's success totally depend on this. If you don't have a healthy mind, if you don't have a perfect mind, you cannot run an organization with a high potential.
Right.
This is what I would say.
Thank you. The workshop that you're conducting, how does it affect the manufacturer worker, the every worker in the company?
So, you know, a blue collared employee, a blue collared staff who is actually working on the manufacturing factory floor is no different in any way from the other employees because he's also operating with the mind. But the circumstances in which he has grown up has not made his mind so open and not made his mind expansive enough for him to actually grow to a level where he is able to encompass everything. So somehow he is able to only see with a narrow vision. Somehow he is not able to see beyond his and his close friends or his close friends who are working together with him, not much beyond that. So where is the benefit that he's getting? The same benefit which I had spoken for the C level employees, the C level staff or the managers who are at the topmost ladder, the same benefits this person who is working in the blue collar in the manufacturing floor, he is also getting the same benefits. The only difference is that you will see that when it is applied at the floor level, the productivity, the assembly line, or whatever the number of pieces on which he is working, the rate or the production rate increases because his focus, his concentration, everything changes. This kind of workshops brings about amazing energy in terms of concentration and focus. And this actually brings about a higher productivity. The second aspect is the level of distraction. that a person has. See, when I'm talking about mind, I'm talking about the thoughts in the mind, and every thought is a distraction. Now, if I'm working on something and if I'm having a thought coming in, that is a distraction. Now, when I'm teaching techniques wherein these thoughts can be trained to be kept aside or to be, kept in a particular area till your work is done, when you are able to control the mind to that kind of a level, the distractions are minimized. And when you minimize the distractions, you automatically increase the production. This is number one. The number two aspect is that you are actually becoming more friendly because you don't see anybody hostile there. Everybody who is only helping you out. You see collaboration in everybody. And because you see collaboration in everybody, you want to help others and you take the help of others. So there's automatically openness coming in, and automatically that togetherness or the collaborativeness, this element brings in a lot in the shop floor. So this is really the second aspect. And the third aspect is the positiveness. They become more optimistic. They become more positive about the whole aspect. Initially, they might be having certain negative thoughts about themselves, about their future, about the company, about the colleagues that they're having, the teams, their manager, their supervisor. They might be having certain kind of blockages. But these blockages are removed. The limiting factors of the mind, those things, the limiting factors are removed, and they operate at the highest potential. This is how they benefit.
Right. That's really, really good to hear. Uh, for myself, it's I feel it's so natural that this is will be the common knowledge that will come to companies around the world in the upcoming era.
Yes,
I think it's the way that we supposed to develop to.
yes, yes. You can see the world changing, and I think what you said is absolutely right. The companies are moving towards this kind of workshops.
Right. For me, it's very exciting to think about it
Yeah.
and to be part of it. And how about you? What is most exciting for you in the work you do?
I would say that the most exciting thing is that this is my passion. For me, I'm crazy about uh, anything got to do with mind and mind related subjects and sharing knowledge about them and gaining knowledge about them. So when I'm in a workshop, wherein these kind of workshops, there's a lot of knowledge sharing happening. People come up with different experiences, and understanding those experiences and going through those experiences myself, and some of which I have gone, some of which I may not have gone, and understanding it, and telling them the nuances behind it. All these things excite me because I am in such a field where this fuels me. If I'm going to take a workshop on these kind of subjects, or if I'm going to talk in a group in these kind of subjects, I can go on talking, and the energy will only go on increasing in me. It will not come down. So this actually fuels me. This actually excites me. The subject itself excites me. The people excite me. The knowledge sharing excites me. Everything about this excites me.
It's beautiful that you had your karma to walk in that in your passion.
Yeah, so that's the grace I was speaking about.
Yeah.
And I thank God for that. Yes.
Thomas, before we finish in our this episode, is there any practice that you can suggest our listeners to do?
Yeah, sure. Like a very simple practice because there's a lot of theory behind it. But then I would say that a simple practice which I can share with them is about just watching the breath. Uh, Breath is a very important element, whether it be meditation or whether it be about calming the mind. or whether it be about your emotions, be it anything. Breath is a very, very important element which connects all this. So I would say that if one can watch one's breath, that would be a really good start point for somebody to progress in this kind of consciousness fields and uh, increasing the awareness levels. Just watch the breath. Don't have to control it. You don't have to actually take a deep breath and leave a deep breath. You're not doing any kind of a breathing exercise as such. I'm just saying that just sit comfortably in a chair and just watch your breath going in and out. And that's it. If you can do this for just 5 minutes a day, and that's good enough start. That's going to really help. It's going to really change. So I would suggest this just for a start. Watch your breath for 5 minutes.
It sounds very simple, yet it's very powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Thomas, for your time and for what you do in the world and for your part in Bliss. And
Thank you.
thank you for our listeners. I would like to thank for our listeners and I invite you to send this podcast to anyone that is should hear it, that you think is that can benefit from this series. And you're welcome to visit our website and subscribe to our podcast because more chapters will come. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in
Thank
the
you.
next episode.
Yes.